My student was kidnapped by her own family bears. We searched with police for 3 days. Hello dear friends, I'm Miss Rodriguez. I've been teaching for 22 years, and today I need to share with you the most terrifying and heartbreaking story of my entire career. This is a story about a missing child, a desperate search, and the lengths teachers will go to protect their students, even when the danger comes from the people who are supposed to love them most. What I'm about to tell you happened just 3 years ago, but it feels like yesterday. It's a story that will make you appreciate the trusted relationships between teachers and students, and it will remind you that sometimes we are the only stable, safe adults in a child's life. It was September 2021, and I was teaching my 2nd grade class at Maplewood Elementary School in Phoenix, Arizona. Among my 24 students was a beautiful 8-year-old girl named Lily Chen Martinez. Lily was one of those students who immediately captures your heart, brilliant, creative, and incredibly sensitive to the world around her. Lily had straight black hair that she usually wore in 2 ponytails, expressive dark eyes that seemed to see everything, and a smile that could light up the entire classroom when she was happy. But over the past few months, those smiles had become increasingly rare. Lily's parents, Jennifer Chen and Carlos Martinez, were going through a bitter divorce that had been dragging on for nearly a year. The custody battle was ugly, with accusations flying back and forth, and poor Lily was caught in the middle of it all. I could see the toll it was taking on her, the dark circles under her eyes, the way she would sometimes stare out the window during lessons, lost in thoughts no 8-year-old should have to think. Jennifer, Lily's mother, was a software engineer who had been working extra hours to pay for the expensive legal fees. Carlos, her father, was a construction foreman who felt like the court system was biased against him as a father. Both parents loved Lily deeply, but their love had become twisted by anger, resentment, and a desire to hurt each other through their child. The custody arrangement was complex and contentious. Lily spent weekdays with her mother and alternating weekends with her father, but Carlos had been pushing for more time, claiming that Jennifer was turning Lily against him. Jennifer, meanwhile, was concerned about Carlos's increasing anger and what she called his unpredictable behavior. As Lily's teacher, I tried to provide stability and normalcy in what had become a very unstable situation. I made sure she had a safe space to talk if she needed it. I kept extra snacks in my desk for days when she seemed to have forgotten lunch, and I always made sure to praise her efforts and remind her that she was loved and valued. Lily and I had developed a special bond over the months. She would often stay after class to help me clean the whiteboard or organize books, using those quiet moments to share her worries and fears. She told me about the fights her parents had during custody exchanges, about feeling like she had to choose sides, about being scared that she was the reason her family was falling apart. "Miss Rodriguez," she said one afternoon in early September, "do you think my parents will stop fighting if I'm really good?" My heart broke for this little girl who was carrying such an enormous emotional burden. "Lily, sweetheart," I told her, "your parents' problems are not your fault. You are a wonderful little girl, and you don't need to be anything other than exactly who you are." That Friday, September 17th, was the last normal day I would have with Lily for a very long time. It was supposed to be Carlos's weekend with Lily. The custody exchange was scheduled to happen after school, as it had been for months. I watched from my classroom window as Carlos picked Lily up from the after-school program, noting that the handoff seemed to go smoothly. Lily waved goodbye to me through the window, and I waved back, having no idea that it would be the last time I would see her for 3 terrifying days. Monday morning came, and I was setting up my classroom for the day when I noticed that Lily's desk was empty. This was unusual. Lily was never absent without advance notice, and Jennifer was meticulous about communicating with the school about any schedule changes. By 9 a.m., when we were well into our morning routine, I was genuinely concerned. I called the main office to see if there had been any communication from Lily's family about her absence. "No, Miss Rodriguez," said Mrs. Patterson, our school secretary. "We haven't heard anything from either parent." I tried calling Jennifer's cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. This was also unusual. Jennifer typically answered my calls immediately when they concerned Lily. The morning passed with a growing sense of unease. During lunch, I tried calling again, and this time Jennifer answered on the first ring. "Miss Rodriguez." Jennifer's voice was strained and panicked. "Is Lily at school? Please tell me she's at school." My blood ran cold. "No, Jennifer. Lily isn't here. I was calling to check on her." "What's going on?" "Carlos was supposed to bring her back Sunday night, but he never showed up. I've been calling him all weekend, but his phone goes straight to voicemail. I drove to his apartment this morning, and the landlord said he moved out sometime over the weekend. Miss Rodriguez, I think Carlos took Lily." I felt like the world had suddenly tilted sideways. "Jennifer, have you called the police?" "I called them this morning, but they said that since Carlos is her father and it was his scheduled weekend, it's not technically kidnapping unless he fails to return her after 24 hours past the court-ordered time. That deadline is tonight at 6 p.m. Where could he have gone?" "I don't know." Jennifer was crying now. "His family lives in Texas, but I called them and they said they haven't heard from him. His work said he called in sick on Monday and hasn't shown up. It's like he just vanished with my daughter." I spent the rest of that Monday in a state of controlled panic. I tried to maintain normalcy for my other students, but my mind kept drifting to Lily. Where was she? Was she scared? Did she understand what was happening? That evening, Jennifer called to tell me that the 24-hour deadline had passed and Carlos still hadn't returned Lily. She had filed a missing person report and a kidnapping complaint with the Phoenix Police Department. An Amber Alert would be issued in the morning if Lily still hadn't been found. I barely slept that night, tossing and turning as I imagined all the possible scenarios. I knew Carlos loved Lily, but I also knew that the divorce had brought out sides of both parents that I hadn't seen before. Desperation makes people do things they never thought they were capable of. Tuesday morning brought no good news. Lily's desk remained empty, and I found myself staring at it constantly throughout the day. The police had issued the Amber Alert, and Lily's photo was now on news stations across Arizona and neighboring states. Around 2 p.m., I received a call from Detective Sarah Morrison of the Phoenix Police Department. "Miss Rodriguez, I understand you're Lily Chen Martinez's teacher. I need to ask you some questions about her relationship with her father." "Of course," I said. "Whatever I can do to help." Detective Morrison came to the school that afternoon and interviewed me in the principal's office. She wanted to know everything I could tell her about Carlos, about Lily's behavior in recent weeks, and about any conversations Lily might have had about her father's plans or intentions. "Miss Rodriguez, did Lily ever mention her father talking about moving away, or taking a trip? Anything that might give us a clue about where he might have taken her?" I thought carefully about my conversations with Lily over the past few weeks. She did mention that her father had been talking about how much better life would be in a different place, somewhere where they could start fresh, but I thought he was just venting about the divorce. Did she say anything specific about where this different place might be? She said her father had been showing her pictures of mountains and talking about how they could go hiking together. He mentioned something about Colorado or Montana, places where the air is clean and there are no traffic jams. Detective Morrison wrote this down carefully. "That's helpful. What about Lily's demeanor in recent weeks? Any changes in behavior that might indicate she knew something was being planned?" I thought about this question seriously. Actually, yes. Last week, Lily seemed more anxious than usual. She kept asking me about what would happen if she had to change schools, if she would be able to write letters to her old teachers. At the time, I thought she was just worried about the divorce. But looking back, it sounds like her father might have been preparing her for a move. Detective Morrison finished. "Miss Rodriguez, I need you to think very carefully. Is there anything else Lily might have said about her father's plans, his friends, his family, anywhere he might go?" "Wait," I said suddenly, remembering something. Lily mentioned that her father had a friend named Miguel, who lived somewhere with mountains. She said her dad had been talking to Miguel a lot on the phone lately, and that Miguel had told him about job opportunities in construction. Do you know Miguel's last name? No, but Lily said he used to work with her father at the same construction company here in Phoenix. Detective Morrison immediately called the construction company where Carlos had worked. Within an hour, they had identified Miguel Santos, a former employee who had moved to Colorado Springs 6 months earlier. By Tuesday evening, police in Colorado had located Miguel Santos and confirmed that Carlos Martinez was staying at his house with Lily. But when they arrived to arrest Carlos and recover Lily, they found that Carlos and Miguel had left that morning, taking Lily with them. The manhunt expanded to include the Colorado State Police and the FBI. Carlos's truck had been spotted on Interstate 25 heading north toward Wyoming, but then the trail went cold. Wednesday was the longest day of my life. I couldn't focus on teaching, couldn't eat, could barely function. Every time my phone rang, I hoped it would be news that Lily had been found safe. Jennifer came to the school Wednesday afternoon, looking like she hadn't slept in days. We sat in my empty classroom and cried together, two women bonded by our love for the same little girl. She must be so scared, Jennifer whispered. Lily doesn't like being away from home for more than one night. She's probably wondering why her daddy won't take her back to school, back to you. That comment gave me an idea. Jennifer, you said Carlos knows how much Lily loves school, how attached she is to her routine and her classmates. Yes, he's always been proud of how smart she is, how much her teachers love her. What if we could use that? What if there was a way to reach out to Lily, to let her know that we're looking for her, and that it's okay to ask for help? I called Detective Morrison with my idea. What if we could get a message to Lily through local news stations in the areas where Carlos might be traveling? What if we could let her know that her teacher and her classmates were worried about her and wanted her to come home? That evening, I appeared on news stations in Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana, speaking directly to Lily if she was watching. Lily, this is Miss Rodriguez, your teacher. All of your friends in our classroom miss you so much. We're worried about you, and we want you to know that it's okay to ask for help from police officers or other adults if you need it. You're not in trouble, sweetheart. We just want you to come home safe. The broadcast also included information for the public about how to report sightings of Carlos's truck or any information about their whereabouts. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Tips poured in from across the region, possible sightings at gas stations, restaurants, and hotels. Each lead had to be investigated, and most turned out to be false alarms, but the publicity was keeping Lily's case in the public eye. Thursday morning brought the break we had been praying for. A clerk at a small motel in Billings, Montana, called the FBI tip line to report that a man matching Carlos's description had checked in the night before with a young girl and another man. The clerk had noticed the girl because she seemed sad and had asked if she could call her teacher. The little girl kept saying she missed her teacher and wanted to go back to school, the clerk told the FBI. She said her name was Lily, and that her teacher's name was Miss Rodriguez. When I saw the news report last night, I knew it had to be the same little girl. Within 2 hours, FBI agents and local police had surrounded the motel in Billings. Carlos surrendered without incident when he realized he was cornered. Miguel Santos was arrested as an accomplice, and most importantly, Lily was safe. Detective Morrison called me at school with the news. Miss Rodriguez, we found her. Lily is safe, and she's asking for you. I broke down crying right there in my classroom, overwhelmed with relief and emotion. My principal immediately arranged for a substitute teacher, so I could travel to Montana to be with Lily during the initial interviews and her return home. The flight to Billings felt like the longest 3 hours of my life, but when I walked into that FBI field office and saw Lily sitting in a child-friendly interview room, my heart nearly burst with joy and relief. Miss Rodriguez. Lily jumped up and ran into my arms, holding on to me like she never wanted to let go. I knew you would find me. I told Daddy that you and Mommy would be looking for me. Through her tears, Lily told me about the 3 days she had spent with her father and Miguel. Carlos had told her they were going on a special adventure, but as the days passed and they didn't return home, Lily had become increasingly worried and scared. Daddy said we were going to live in the mountains now, but I told him I didn't want to live in the mountains. I wanted to go back to school and see you and my friends, Lily explained. When we watched the news, and I saw you talking to me, I knew it was okay to ask for help. That's when I learned the full impact of the television broadcast. Lily had indeed seen my message, and it had given her the courage to approach the motel clerk and ask to call her teacher. That conversation had led directly to her rescue. The FBI child specialist told me that Lily had repeatedly mentioned me during her interviews, saying that she knew her teacher would help find her, and that she trusted me to keep her safe. Hearing this reinforced my belief that the relationships we build with our students are about so much more than academic instruction. Sometimes we are the trusted adults who help children navigate the most difficult situations of their lives. Carlos was arrested and charged with kidnapping, custodial interference, and violating a court order. During his arrest, he broke down and admitted that he had never intended to hurt Lily, but that he was desperate to prevent what he saw as Jennifer turning their daughter against him. I just wanted to spend time with my daughter without lawyers and court orders telling me when I could see her, Carlos told investigators. I never meant for it to go this far. Miguel Santos was charged as an accomplice for helping Carlos plan and execute the kidnapping. The investigation revealed that the two men had been planning the abduction for several weeks, with Miguel providing a place to stay and a getaway route. Lily returned to Phoenix Thursday evening, accompanied by FBI agents, her mother, and me. The reunion between Lily and Jennifer at the airport was one of the most emotionally powerful moments I've ever witnessed. Both mother and daughter cried tears of relief, holding each other as if they would never let go again. When Lily returned to school the following Monday, her classmates greeted her with a celebration that brought tears to my eyes. They had made welcome back cards, drawn pictures for her, and even prepared a special presentation about how much they had missed her. But it was clear that the experience had left its mark on Lily. She was more clingy than before, reluctant to let me out of her sight during the school day. She would ask repeatedly for reassurance that she was safe, that no one could take her away from school again. Miss Rodriguez, she said during one of our after-school conversations, will you promise that if anyone tries to take me away again, you'll find me? Lily, sweetheart, I replied. What happened to you should never happen to any child. But I want you to know that there are lots of adults, your mommy, the police, your teachers, the principal, who care about you, and will always work to keep you safe. The trauma of the kidnapping affected our entire classroom community. Many of my students had nightmares about losing their friends or being taken away from their families. We spent several weeks working with the school counselor to help all the children process what had happened, and to rebuild their sense of safety and security. For Lily, the healing process was long and complicated. She began seeing a child therapist who specialized in trauma, and slowly, over the course of several months, she began to return to her normal, happy self. The therapy helped her understand that what had happened wasn't her fault, and that the adults in her life who could be trusted would continue to protect her. The legal aftermath of the kidnapping was complex and painful for everyone involved. Carlos was sentenced to 3 years in prison for kidnapping, though he would be eligible for parole in 18 months. The court also ordered supervised visitation only when he was released, meaning that he would need to rebuild trust before being allowed unsupervised time with Lily again. Jennifer was granted full custody, with the understanding that Carlos could petition for modified visitation rights after completing court-ordered counseling and demonstrating stable, non-threatening behavior. The case also had a profound impact on me as an educator. I realized that my relationship with Lily had literally been a lifeline during her ordeal. Her trust in me had given her the courage to seek help when she needed it most. It reinforced my belief that teachers are often much more than instructors. We are trusted adults who may be the most stable, consistent presence in a child's life. Detective Morrison later told me that my insights about Lily's conversations with her father had been crucial in tracking down Carlos's location. The information about his friend Miguel and his interest in mountain states had helped narrow down the search area significantly. "Miss Rodriguez," she said, "your knowledge of that little girl and the trust she had in you were instrumental in bringing her home safely. Teachers like you are often the unsung heroes in cases like this." 6 months after the kidnapping, Lily was thriving again. Her grades had returned to their previous high levels, she was laughing and playing with her classmates, and she had regained her confidence and sense of security. The trauma would always be part of her story, but it hadn't defined her or destroyed her spirit. As the school year progressed, Lily and I maintained our special bond, but it had evolved into something deeper and more meaningful. She knew that I had fought for her, had helped bring her home, and had been there for her during the most frightening experience of her young life. On the last day of 2nd grade, Lily gave me a card she had made herself. Inside, in her careful 8-year-old handwriting, she had written, "Dear Miss Rodriguez, thank you for finding me when I was lost. You are the best teacher in the whole world, and you kept me safe even when you weren't with me. I love you." Reading those words, I was reminded once again of the incredible privilege and responsibility that comes with being a teacher. We are not just educators, we are advocates, protectors, and sometimes the most trusted adults in a child's life. Today Lily is 11 years old, and thriving in 5th grade. She still writes me letters occasionally, updating me on her academic progress and her interests. She wants to be a teacher when she grows up, she tells me, because she wants to help keep children safe the way I helped keep her safe. Her relationship with her father remains complicated. Carlos completed his prison sentence and court-ordered counseling, and he now has supervised visits with Lily twice a month. The relationship is slowly healing, but it will take time to rebuild the trust that was broken during those 3 terrifying days. Jennifer has also found healing and peace. She eventually remarried a kind man who adores Lily and treats her like his own daughter. The family has moved to a new home in a different part of Phoenix, symbolizing their fresh start after the trauma of the kidnapping. The experience taught me several important lessons about my role as an educator. First, the relationships we build with our students can literally be life-saving. Lily's trust in me gave her the courage to seek help when she needed it most. Second, teachers often know more about their students' home situations than anyone else, and that knowledge can be crucial in protecting children from harm. Most importantly, I learned that being a teacher means being willing to go above and beyond the classroom when our students need us most. When Lily was missing, I didn't hesitate to work with police, appear on television, and travel to another state because that's what she needed from me. The kidnapping also reinforced my belief that schools must be safe havens for children, especially those who are dealing with family trauma or instability. For many students, school is the most stable, predictable part of their lives, and teachers may be the most consistent, trustworthy adults they interact with. Looking back on those 3 terrifying days, I'm grateful for the outcome but sobered by how differently things could have ended. Lily was fortunate that her father, despite his poor judgment and illegal actions, never intended to harm her physically. But kidnappings don't always end with safe recoveries, and the trauma of being taken from everything familiar and safe can have lasting effects on children. As teachers, we must remain vigilant about the signs that our students may be in danger, whether from strangers or from people they know. We must maintain open, trusting relationships that allow children to confide in us when they're scared or confused, and we must be prepared to advocate fiercely for our students when their safety and well-being are at stake. Lily's kidnapping was a nightmare that no child should ever have to endure, but it also demonstrated the power of the relationships between teachers and students. When a little girl was lost and scared, she remembered her teacher's voice telling her it was okay to ask for help. That memory gave her the courage to reach out, and that courage saved her life. Sometimes we plant seeds in our students' minds without even knowing it. Lessons about trust, safety, courage, and self-advocacy. With Lily, those seeds bloomed when she needed them most, helping her find her way back home to the people who loved her. That's the real power of teaching, not just the academic knowledge we impart, but the relationships we build and the life lessons we embed that help our students navigate whatever challenges they may face. Lily Chen Martinez taught me that sometimes the most important thing we can give a child is the knowledge that they are loved, valued, and worth fighting for. 3 days felt like an eternity when my student was missing, but they also reminded me why I became a teacher in the first place: to make a difference in children's lives, to be a trusted adult they can depend on, and to fight for them when they need someone in their corner. Lily is safe now, and she's thriving, and every day when I look at my current students, I remember that each one of them deserves that same level of care, protection, and advocacy, because you never know when a child might need their teacher to help bring them home.